About them boys and girls.
Huh?
What you said about them boys
Man,
and girls?
they ain't playing the radio, bro. They doing it 'cause they, you know, my son is there now, and my son was telling me, he said, boy, I was rolling, they ain't joking, boy. They knocking them off, boy. They ain't playing no games.
What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Shout out to everyone who support the platform. Much love, much love, much love. Shout out to everyone that's in the building right now. Y'all can hear me. Drop a one in the chat for me real quick. Drop a one in the chat for me real quick, y'all. Let me know if y'all can hear me clearly out there. Drop a one for me. Okay. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. Y'all see the show. Make sure if y'all missed earlier show, make sure y'all check that out. One of my lovely lady mods that's in the chat. If we have any in the chat, can y'all please drop the link? Can y'all please drop the link to earlier show? Y'all please drop the link to earlier show. It'd be very much appreciated. Let's see who's in the building. And let's get to it. Shout out to my man Astro in the building. Yes, sir. Salute to you, my brother. Salute. Yeah, make sure y'all hit that like button on the way in, man. Hit the like button on the way in. Share the show. Shout out to my man Mark in the building. What up, Mark? Peace to you, bro. Shout out to Jasmine MTV. What's up, Jasmine? How you doing? Good to see you. Shout out to Scorpio Mama in the building. Hey, Scorpio. What's going on, Scorpio? We got one lovely lady mod in the building. Shout out to Miss Naomi in the building. How you doing, Naomi? Good afternoon to you. Shout out to 18 back in the building. Shout out to 18. Shout out to the residential OG. Shout out to my man Elisino in the building. Salute. Shout out to Terry. How you doing, Terry? Good to see you. I appreciate that. Shout out to Anonymous in the building. Salute, Anonymous. What's going on? Anonymous. Y'all see the show? Shout out to Ebo in the building. Salute, my brother. Salute. As y'all can see, this is episode 10 of the Spiritual Tax series. Now, this is a conversation that, if y'all remember, we've been kind of speaking on it for a little while. And I wanted to have this conversation. Because, again, over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, that's what we do. We have the conversations that are not typically had. And what we try to do is we try to make sense out of a lot of this stuff. Because if we don't do that, if we don't try to make sense of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is just going to go over our heads and just be whatever it's going to be. Shout out to Self University in the building. Salute, my brother. Good to see you back, man. Good to see you back, bro. Salute. Shout out to Cynical in the building. Hey, Sin. Good to see you in the building. We got one top lovely lady mod in here. Good to see you, Sin. If you can, do me a favor and drop the link to earlier show. If you can, that'd be very much appreciated. Shout out to my man, the Brother Love Show in the building. What's going on, fam? Salute. Salute, salute. And if you are a supporter of Sheep Stay Sleep TV, you know that one of the conversations that we've always had over here is the conversation about mental health, the conversation about understanding our traumas, trying to heal from our traumas, and having that conversation. You know, we put in a lot of work, and shout out to all of y'all who support the channel, because over the years, you know, we laid the foundation for that conversation, the whole conversation about mental health and healing and trauma and all of that stuff. We put in a lot of work over here. You know, in the beginning, we got a lot of pushback because, you know, I was speaking about this type of stuff when it wasn't common, you know, where people wasn't really speaking about it. People, especially men, a lot of men were speaking about other things. They were speaking more about dating and things of that nature. But I decided to take the conversation a whole nother direction when it came to what I wanted to speak to men about on my platform. And I thank y'all for supporting, because pretty much y'all kept me around, because again, it was a lot of bigger platforms that was against what I was standing on. And now, as we can see, you know, now that we on the other side of things, how much the conversation was needed. And now, as you can see, a lot of people are having a conversation, which is a good thing, which is a great thing, as a matter of fact. If you missed earlier show, shout out to you, Sin. She dropped it in the chat. Go ahead and check it out after this show. Right? So now we have a mental health awareness month. You know, now there's a big thing around mental health now. And I've noticed over the years how the conversation just grew over time. It just grew over time. And I was shocked, because again, the pushback I received, I didn't expect it to grow into what it is now. To where now with it, conversations within a conversation, that is brought up now. Now mental health is a thing. Now you have to understand other people's traumas, and you know, now that's a part of the conversation, where at first it wasn't. So again, like I said, me watching it over the years just expand, now I think it has become commercialized. Like this whole mental health thing, to me now it has turned into, or it's turning into a hashtag. It's turning into something that people can, you know, vend at events, and that's cool. I'm not against none of that, but I'm just noticing how it's becoming commercialized. It's not being taken as serious. You know, the conversations are becoming a lot more generic. Now it's just all about taking meds, and it's just not the same to me. I don't know. It could just be me. It could just be me. But like I said, I feel like the whole mental health conversation and trauma and all of that has now become like a hashtag. It's becoming commercialized. Shout out to Seth Son in the building. Peace, bro. Sin says some people are only talking about it because it's a bit trendy. Right. That's what I mean by it's becoming commercialized. Elisino says easy to exploit and profit. Right. It's becoming commercialized to where now people are just throwing the word therapy out there. It's like people not even taking it serious. And an example of this is with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, where she feels like she doesn't have to have credentials. She doesn't feel like she has to prove her credentials, but you're supposedly helping people out with their traumas and all of this type of stuff. So this is what I mean by it has become commercialized, man. So I said we got to have this conversation from a real perspective, but from an angle where people can understand it in a modern day perspective, and from a perspective that people are not gonna try to exploit. That's the word, like Elisino said. Because see, again, and as y'all know, because y'all supported me through it all, right? Y'all know that I took this, my motto of my channel is heal before we build. Y'all know that that's something that I took serious, not only through my content, but y'all watch me lose weight. Y'all have heard my story, not in its entirety, because that's the reason for the docuseries coming out, right? But y'all also know that I went back to school for psychology. Like, this is something that is serious to me, right? So being in school and going back to school to learn psychology, we pretty much learn about all the mental health disorders, So we learn about anxiety, we learn about depression, stress, schizophrenia, all of that. All of that is broken down into many different classes and all of that, right? And one thing I notice is that they never speak about these mental health problems from a let me see, how can I put this? And I think they do this intentionally, but I think if it was put this way, people will understand it a lot better. They don't put it in a way where we could understand it from a spiritual perspective. And the reason why I say that is because all of these terms that I have to learn and all of this stuff is really just a bunch of layered fluff to not say what's really going on. And this is what I just figured out just being in school and going through the classes and going through the coursework. It's like, why do I need to know all of this? Like, what is this for? What is this going to be for? It's just, they just got you going through the motions because even though you learning a little bit about how the mind works, it's still coded and layered in a way where if you don't understand certain things outside of the education part of psychology, then you'll never really be able to understand what you really learning. That's how complex psychology is, though. So with me being here and speaking about mental health the way I've been speaking about mental health from the spiritual perspective, right? When I went back to school, I was able to pick up on it immediately. Like I was able to catch it. I was able to see like, oh, they just layering what they don't want to say. They just hiding what they don't want to tell us. Because if they was to tell us what this stuff really is, what we're really dealing with, then a lot of people won't be making no money. And the main people who won't be making no money is Big Pharma. You see? Because these are the people who's at the head of this whole mental health craze. It's Big Pharma. It's a way for them to push their drugs on us, to get everybody doped up on these psychotropic meds so they could control you. You ain't gonna have no life. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing. So that's why they don't want to tell us what this stuff really is. Because if we really knew, then we won't go for the medication. We won't go for the meds. But if they keep making you think that something is wrong with you mentally, right? Instead of you understanding what's really going on, this is how these people stay in business and how the systems in the world continue to run the way that they run. This is how it happens. Hey, Tanisha, how you doing? Yes, there's sugarcoating it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Psychology is really real. Psychology classes are breaking it down about how the mind works. Yeah, it does. It does. It absolutely does. But they don't really, what I'm noticing is they not gonna really get into, they're not gonna get into it to where the everyday person could truly understand what they're dealing with. Because let's be honest, people has always dealt with mental health issues. That's not a new thing. This is why I'm saying Big Pharma created this big old craze behind it. But other than that, it's people who always dealt with mental health issues. Always. I remember when I was young, people who dealt with a lot of mental health issues, when I was young, they had a lot of mental health facilities. They had a lot of them. Like they had like little homes where they used to put people who used to have mental breakdowns and stuff like that. People that used to talk to themselves and all that type of stuff. Actually, I had one in my neighborhood that was not too far away from my neighborhood, my block where I lived. It was a mental home. Right? But now you see how they kind of like normalized mental health, where now it's like normal. And they're doing this because they're hiding something. See, this is why I'm breaking it down the way I'm breaking it down. I'm walking it down the way I'm walking it down because they want to normalize it so you really don't understand what's going on. Shout out to UFO in the building. Salute, UFO. They're trying to make it seem like, oh, yeah, everybody has mental health problems. Yeah, everybody deals with mental health. Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, that's normal. See, they don't want you to understand what this stuff really is. It's called desensitizing. Just like they've desensitized us to violence, they've desensitized us to having diseases, mental health. They're desensitizing us. This is what they do with media. This is what they do with social media in particular. This is why now it's normal on social media to hear people talking about mental health and trauma and all of that. But back when I first started talking about it, it wasn't common. It wasn't normal. That's why people rejected it. You see? But now it's normal. So now you could go on, you could scroll down your reels on Facebook or Instagram, and you gonna hear somebody talking about something dealing with trauma or mental health. Whether it's about relationships, whether it's about whatever. Now you have companies where they even give you 1 to 2 mental health days that you could take off at work for the year. You got companies that give you mental health days. If you work for a company, check your employee handbook. It's in there. The days that you could take off for certain things. Hey, Classy Creole, shout out to you. We got 2 top lovely lady moms in here. Good to see you, Classy. Shout out to Terry in the building. A-Team says, DS1, people didn't talk about it. People didn't talk about it. I learned about it from my neighbor. Never love a person more than you love yourself. That's good. That's a fact. That's a fact. You said you learned it from your neighbor. See that? See that? That's interesting. That's interesting, 18. Very, very interesting. So now it's become a normal thing, a common thing. But again, here's what I found out. I found out that all of this mental health stuff, like if you trace back people having mental health episodes or mental health issues and all of that, like if you trace it back to, trace it back some years, right? Think about perfect example. Think about the movie The Exorcist. Think about that movie, The Exorcist. What do you think of exorcism when people come and perform an exorcism? What is that for? Why do people come and perform exorcisms on people from back in the day? To cast out what? If you go back and watch the movie The Exorcist, nobody knew what was wrong with her. They took her to doctors. They went and checked everything. They didn't know what was wrong with her. They never knew what was wrong with her. They found out what was wrong with her when they called in a what? A priest. This is when they found out that nothing in the hospital can cure her. No medicine can cure her. They needed to perform an exorcism to heal this young girl, Emily Rose. They just thought one day she lost her mind. Mental health. This is going on today. People just losing their minds. Normal one day, wake up and be a different person. You done lost your mind. People don't know who you are. You don't even know who you are. This is what happened in the movie The Exorcist. You see people walking down the street, talking to themselves, making noises and all. What do you think that is? They call that mental health. Who they talking to? They talking to somebody in their head. We don't see that person, but they do. We don't hear that person that's talking to them, but they do. They call it mental health, though. That's what they call it today. They say you schizophrenic or you bipolar. You hearing voices in your head. You schizophrenic. So they're going to put you on these medications to try to stop the voices. I'm telling you to do negative things. See, they don't want to tell you that you're demon possessed. They don't want to tell you that because they don't have no cure for that. They can't charge us for that. You see? What premium you gonna put on that? How they gonna add that to the how they gonna medically bill that? They can't. So they had to create a whole, a whole industry to hide this stuff. They created a whole industry to hide this stuff. The mental health field. This is what they did. If you go back in ancient times, biblical times, what they used to do, they used to take people to go get exorcisms performed on them. They used to take them down there to the priest and get them prayed on. Get holy water put on them. Because if your child just suddenly start acting crazy, they didn't say your child had mental health back then. They said your child was demon possessed. They said your child had a demon in them. That's what they said. Just see how today, look how the truth is always the truth. Back then, they'll say your child was demon possessed, but now the children are calling themselves demons. Look how that work. Now the people who are possessed, they're calling themselves demons. They're just saying it. We're demons. See, they not saying we got mental health problems. We got voices in our head telling us to go and unalive people. They not saying that. They're straight coming out and saying we're demons. They're coming out and just saying it. Hey, y'all, we demons. They just straight saying it. We on what? Demon time. So is it really mental health? Is it? Think about this. 18 says when people break down, their eyes are blank. The soul is gone. The eyes are the window to the soul. That's a good point, 18. What's good, the real Dana? What's going on, fam? Salute. Elisino says alcohol and drugs is a direct pathway for demons to host you. That's a great point. That's a great point. That is a great point. This is why they tell you if you are on psychotropic meds, you should not indulge in alcohol or drugs, any drugs, because it can create, negative effects. And what do you think those negative effects are? It will increase the demons. If you on them psychotropic meds, those meds that's supposedly trying to calm the voices and all of that, and then you get the drinking and smoking and all of that, you done amplified the demons. You done amplified them. That's why they tell you not to indulge. Shout out to my man Club in the building. What up, Club? Salute, my brother. OG says spirit health. Yes, LSD. Absolutely. And that I'm glad you said that too, Sim, because look at the drugs now that people are using now. All of these drugs are drugs that open you up. All of these drugs that are promoted now are drugs that open you up. Open you up to what? Spirits. It's to open you up to spirits. A lot of angel dust being smoked. LSD, a lot of meth. A lot of people on meth out here. A lot of people on heroin out here. Yeah. A lot of alcohol use, marijuana. These are all gateways. Open you up. That's what it does. That's just the truth. Sin says the Ouija board. Terry says, how many health issues occur because of unforgiveness? Well, let's think about it, Terry. Unforgiveness. When you forgive someone from where, Terry? When you forgive someone, where do you have to forgive them at? In your where? In your feelings, in your mind, or in your heart? You have to forgive them in your heart. So unforgiveness causes heart issues. Those are affairs of the heart, unforgiveness, bitterness. Those are heart issues, issues of the heart, affairs of the heart. This is why the word says, guard your heart. What happens when you start having heart issues? Usually people who have heart issues, their arteries start to what? Harden. And God tells us to never harden our hearts. So when we are dealing with unforgiveness, we're hardening our hearts. We're hardening our hearts. That's what we're doing, Terry. So it's a heart issue. It's a heart issue. Unforgiveness deals with the heart. Bitterness deals with the heart. Those are heart issues. Adrian Broner's friends don't care about his battle with alcohol. Yeah, but I think they be trolling too, Tanisha. Adrian Broner be trolling too. I do think he have an alcohol issue, but I think he be trolling a lot of times as well. Yes, malice. Malice is also a heart issue. Astral says, my hardest thing is to forgive. Yeah, that's a heart issue, bro. That's a heart issue. You know? We got to remember that if we want to be forgiven, we got to forgive. Because forgiveness is for the person, it's not for the other person. It's not for the person that you're forgiving, it's for yourself. If a person chooses to forgive you, it's not for you, it's for them. It's for them to be able to accept what happened and for them to be able to move on without hardening their hearts because of what happened, because of what they may have done or what may have happened to them. That's the power of forgiveness. And as I gotten older, I started to understand why that's important, because you want to live, if you want to live a long life, you have to learn how to forgive people, because you want to be able to live. And as long as you live, you're going to keep making mistakes. You're not going to ever be perfect. So if you're the type of person that want to live a long time, you got to have a forgiving heart. Because you're going to do a lot to offend people. You're going to say things, you're going to do things, you're going to be a part of certain things that's going to offend people. So if you talking about, people want to live today 100 and 200 years old, but you can't live with an unforgiving heart for that long. That unforgiveness going to kill you. OG says, I forgive quickly, learn, and move forward. Yeah. Yeah. That should be the process, but I guess that's something that, comes with time and experience. Hate is a poison pill you take and expect your enemy to be affected. Sin says, I'm not a grudge holder. That's why I keep my circle small. Absolutely. Sin says the name Little Xan derived from Xanax, the prescription medicine he frequently abused in his earlier years. Yeah, absolutely. He says, right, I know I offend aimlessly. Yeah, absolutely. Classy says, I'm a work in progress, but I had to learn that over time. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to continue to live and especially live with some sort of peace in your life, you got to learn to forgive. Because again, forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person. Because think about it, the person that may have offended you, they done moved on and kept going with their life. You know, whether they chose to acknowledge what they done to you or not. That's why forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. Because they already go ahead and living their life, you know? So that's a way that you know, to move on without hardening your heart, without expecting to be hurt and walking around a certain way with others now. You know, now you done let that experience affect how you live your life. And that's hard to do because we human, especially for people who've been through it multiple times. This is how this stuff turns into what they call today a mental health condition. But when you actually apply what you know about scripture to this, you'll understand that it's actually demon possession. Because unforgiveness is a what? It's a gateway. It's a pathway. Bitterness is a pathway. Once you start being bitter and it's a pathway. You opening yourself up to let those demons in, to start coming in and taking over your mind, your body. That's what happens. And then you get the diagnosis of whatever you diagnose with. Because you opened yourself up, you allowed those demons to come in, you start practicing certain behaviors, which then allowed the demons to feel safe and to make you a nice host for them. And then now they can just control you. This is how this works. It's how this works. And what I'm learning is the only way to cure this is you have to do the reverse effect. You gotta not feed them. You gotta do the reverse effect. You have to do the reverse effect. You see? And if a lot of people just looked at it from this perspective, they won't need the meds. They won't need the meds because they will know what they would have to address directly. See, the medicine just affects the results of what happens. That's what the medicine targets. The medicine targets the effects of the possession, of the demon possession. So the voices, the strange, the violent behaviors, the outbursts, the medicine attacks those things. It doesn't attack the actual demon. See, the medicine don't attack the demon. And see, big pharma and these pharmaceutical companies, they understand this. Because pharmacy comes from the word pharmakeia, which is witchcraft. Potions and serums and all that's witchcraft. They know what this is. This is why I said with me going back to school and seeing it from that perspective, it really opened my eyes up and said, oh, that's what this is. They hiding demon possession under mental health. Now, why would they do this? Why wouldn't the devil do this? Think about it. I said, wow. Satan is smart. He's hiding demon possession under the banner of mental health. So now you got people who's already planning to live with demons in them for the rest of their life because they think they got a mental health problem. Wow. So we just became host to millions of demons and allowed them to come into us. Because we already agreed and made the agreement that we got mental health problems. That's crazy. That's crazy. But that's what's going on in the world today. That's what's going on. That's what you're seeing in the streets. You're not seeing mental health. You're seeing demon possession. That's what we dealing with, y'all. That's what we dealing with. They're not going to tell us this, though. Why would a warlock tell you that he summons in demons in your life? Why would a warlock tell you that? Why would a witch tell you that? Why would they tell you that? Because that's what Big Pharma is. That's what they all are. Witches and warlocks. That's what they are. Witches and warlocks. That's them. That's Big Pharma. The people that diagnose you and give you these meds and all that. These are wicked people. People who believe in the dark arts. Yes. That's what they do. What do you think Hitler and who do you think Hitler had a team of? Hitler had a team of scientists, occultists, warlocks. Warlocks. Who do you think they were? Who do you think Joseph Magdalene and all them German scientists that was around Hitler, who do you think they were? They were occultists, demon worshipers. They were warlocks. Look them up. That's who these people are. But now they just gonna tell everybody, oh, you got a mental health problem. So they could put you on some medicine. And what does the medicine do? Subdue you. It doesn't remove the demon. It just make you think that you're okay for a little while. This is high level witchcraft. Big Pharma. Telling everybody they got a mental health problem. Go get checked for mental health. Go get checked for mental health. And what do they do when you go get checked for mental health? They ask you, do anybody in your family deal with mental health? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how they could know, oh yeah, we know he's possessed. Oh yeah, he come from a long line of possessed people. Yeah. It's in your file. It's in your file. Yep. You come from 5 generations of mental health problems. Yep. all possessed. See, the doctors know this stuff. They know. Certain doctors, they know. They understand what that is. It's in your profile. They know. It's in your profile. Why do you think certain dudes go to jail and be on them psychotropic meds? So what happened to Gucci Mane? Look what happened to Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane was crazy. Everybody thought Gucci Mane was crazy. He went to jail and came home a puppy. He's a puppy now. You could walk up to Gucci Mane and ask him for a handshake now. Before, you couldn't walk within 10 feet of Gucci Mane. Yeah. What you think they did to that boy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Did y'all know? See, a lot of y'all thought that Gucci Mane was just crazy because he was popping a bunch of pills. No, Gucci Mane has schizophrenia. Did y'all know that? Gucci Mane is schizophrenic. Gucci Mane is schizophrenic. Go back and watch the old interviews when him and Waka Flocka was beefing. Waka even said the reason why he never went at Gucci like that is because he know Gucci got a mental problem. Gucci's not crazy. He has a mental problem. He's schizophrenic. He's schizophrenic. And when he get off them drugs, he start having episodes. This is why everybody thought Gucci Mane was crazy. Absolutely, OG, just like Ghostface. Remember, I did the show about Ghostface, where he talked about his battle with schizophrenia. This is where he learned how to rap. All them crazy bars you hear from Ghostface, that's coming from his schizophrenia. And we think it's super lyrical and all that. No, that's coming out of his schizo brain. When he having a schizo episode. See, we got to be careful what we listening to. This is why they say we got to be careful what you listening to. Your eyes, your ears, all of those things are gateways. So we thinking Ghostface saying some ill stuff. No, he talking from his schizophrenic mind. And not to say I don't like Ghostface, because I do. But when I found out, because remember, on the show that we did, I played the interview where Ghostface admitted. He admitted this. The first time he found out he had schizophrenia, he was in the studio. He said this in the interview. If y'all was watching the show that day, y'all remember. He said he was smoking a Wooly. If you from New York, you know what Wooly blunts are. Crack and weed. The combination make my eyes bleed. Remember Raekwon said this. He was smoking the Wooly blunt in the studio with RZA and them. They in there smoking Woolies and dust. They in there smoking Love Boat, crack, and marijuana. And he went and started hearing voices. He started hearing somebody tell him to beat up his own friend. And he couldn't stop the voice. Ghostface said this in the interview. The God body, the God. Ghostface, he said this. He was smoking crack and weed in the studio. That's how he found out he had schizophrenia. So don't tell me schizophrenia is mental health. That's a demon. He was smoking crack. That's why he started hearing voices. He was smoking crack. Demons. 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 This man was smoking crack when he found out he had schizophrenia. The first time he started hearing voices, he was smoking crack in the studio. This man said this. I'm not making this up. So you still think schizophrenia is mental health? Come on now. This man said he was smoking crack and weed and started hearing voices. And then he said every time after that, every time he would smoke, the voice will come back and start telling him to do stuff. Because in the interview, he also told a story where one time they was on tour and they was in the car in the rental. They was smoking. He was in the back of the car. That crack and that weed hit him. The voice came back and told him to jump out the car. Told him to open the door. They was on the highway. And the voice told him to jump out the car. That's mental health? Or is that demon possession? Is that mental health? Ghostface said the voice told him to jump out the car. They was on the highway. See how they've been lying to us? Telling us it's mental health. How they been lying to us? but we can't be mad. Will we expect the devil to tell us the truth? This is how they get host. This is how they get people and to possess people. This is how they remain in possession of people, by making them think it's normal now to have schizophrenia. It's normal to be bipolar. Now it's normal to be crazy. Now you hear people saying on social media, man, everybody a little bit of crazy. Everybody got a little bit of crazy in them. You hear that now. You see that? See how they done normalized it, calling it mental health when it's demon possession. So now you telling people, oh, it's normal to have a demon in you. Because most of us do. Most of us do have demons in us. Most of us do. But we calling it mental health. That's what we calling it. We not calling it what it is. This is how the demons are able to hide. Because we ain't calling them out. We ain't saying what it is. We calling it something else. You know, when you see people pushing people in front of trains, those are people with schizophrenia. Did you know that? Those are people with schizophrenia. Did you know that a lot of mental institutions let people out and just let them out on the street into big cities like Chicago, like New York, like Philadelphia? You know how many they done kicked thousands of people out of these mental institutions because now it's filled up with young people. That's why you see a influx of junkies and all of that now. A lot of them is from the crazy house. They from the mental hospitals. They kicked them out. They Medicaid and all that done ran out. They kicked them out. All them people you see hanging out in front of the supermarket when you get off the train in Harlem on 125th Street, a lot of them people is from the mental house that's around there and from the homeless shelter. Yeah. That's why people used to get pushed in front of the train at that 125th Street station. It's a goddamn mental institution around there, and they done kick people out. So now these mentally challenged people, these demon-possessed people are homeless on the street walking around with civilians, and nobody know that they demon possessed till they walk around and stab somebody up or push them in front of the train or bite them or attack a woman for no reason, or till he just starts stripping butt naked and start chasing people. These are demon possessed people. Mental health, what you call that? How you gonna diagnose this man get butt naked and start chasing people down the street? What diagnosis you call that? That's schizophrenia? He chasing people butt naked trying to bite them. That's schizophrenia? No, that's demon possession. That's what that is. That's demon possession. That's what we seeing. That's what's happening. And people getting hurt every day. At bus stops, train stations, people getting hurt. Because these people walking around amongst normal people. And then people just thinking, oh, this person just got mental health issues. No, it's deeper than that. These people are possessed. That's why they're killing people. That's why they're killing them. Because that's what the demons are telling them to do. We just had a case of that in New York with a famous battle rapper. His name was Fox 5. He was from the Bronx. I used to watch him on battle rap DVDs. But see, I know what happened to Fox 5. People said Fox 5 went crazy. You know why Fox 5 went crazy? Because I pay attention. Fox 5 started playing with that Yoruba. Because I was paying attention to his beads and how he was wearing all white. He started playing with that Yoruba. He had an altar. He was praying to them demons that he thought was his ancestors. And he got possessed. And on top of that, he was smoking dust. He was smoking that love boat. See, because demons love drugs. Demons love drugs. He got hooked on that love boat. He was possessed by them demons. He walking around with a machete, thinking he a warrior, thinking he an African warrior. He was possessed. Playing with that Yoruba. Talking about your ancestry. See what I told y'all about that ancestry worship? That's demon worship. Because God told us to let the dead bury the dead. You don't worship dead people. That's necromancy. That's a sin. That's an abomination. You don't do that. But what did they got us talking that ancestral worship stuff. You don't even know you conjuring up demons. Because you don't even know where your family members went that died. You don't know if they went to heaven or hell, but you trying to conjure them up to try to get blessings. How you going to get blessings from a person that probably went to hell? Now you running around here possessed, chopping people with a machete. This is what happened with Fox 5. The spirit told him to go outside and start slicing people. And that's what he did. And the police gunned his ass down in broad daylight, gunned him down. Because he running down the street like he General Butt Naked from Africa, running down the street with a machete, cutting people. This is what he was doing. They gunned him down. He was possessed. That wasn't mental health. Everybody, oh, Fox 5, that wasn't mental health, bruh. He was possessed, playing with that Yoruba. Y'all better stop going to Nigeria and all that, playing with that obia. Y'all better stop playing. Going to get them beads and putting them beads and all that around your neck. And I know what all that means. Because I used to be into that occult stuff. I know what that means. You done went over there and they done blessed them beads. Because you trying to get some paper. Because you trying to get rich. Fox 5 wanted to be famous. He always wanted to be in the game. That's why these dudes do sacrifice. This is why these dudes play with this black magic and all that. So they could be famous. How do you think they got famous? This is why I was telling y'all in the earlier show. Ain't no just getting $200 million off of hard work. No. No. The devil gave you access to that type of riches here on earth. That's not normal. Because if it was normal, you would have more Bill Gates. If it was normal, why is not 20 Bill Gates? Oh, because he just the only one that think like that. That's a lie. People created shit better than Microsoft before he created Microsoft. But why they never made it? Why they never was the guy? Because they didn't get chose to be the guy. That's how this works. You don't just become the biggest rapper in the game just because you worked hard. No. You're chosen to be Michael Jackson. You're chosen to be Jay-Z of hip hop, the king of pop. You're chosen. You're chosen. And this is why today you see a lot of people going crazy, because a lot of people sacrifice themselves, sacrifice their sanity, they sacrifice themselves to have fame here on earth. This is why we're watching all of these people who did this stuff. This is why you're seeing them crumble now. Kevin Hart, crumbling. Why you think you see this? Diddy. These is people who sold their souls to the devil. That's why their empires crumble. Why you think Hollywood burnt down? Why you think this stuff happened? You think this happened for nothing? Because these people were playing with the devil. That's why. Leonardo DiCaprio, all of them. Ellen, all Oprah, Tyler Perry, all of them. It ain't just the black ones. It ain't just the white ones. It's all of them. Why you think all of that shit burnt down in Hollywood? Why you think it burnt down? Why? But today they call it mental health. What they say about Kanye? Kanye is what? Got mental health problems. Kanye crazy. Kanye got mental health problems. When we already know that Kanye West sacrificed his mother to get rich. That's not a secret. That's not a conspiracy. We know that this happened already. People from the industry already admitted this. He sacrificed his mother. Killed his own mother to be Kanye West, who he is today. Come on now. Should we get into the Kardashians? Those are straight witches. Come on now. But they call it mental health. If a person sacrificed their mother, How could you be normal after that? How could you walk around and smile after that? How could you walk around and look normal and act normal after that? You can't. You can't. Because you're doing something abnormal. You're doing something that's going against your soul, man. That's why Kanye West is weird. That's why he crazy like that. This man let them kill his moms. He never gonna be normal again, ever. But you call that mental health. You call it mental health. So if it's mental health, are y'all saying that the death of his mother made him go crazy? Because where was his mental health diagnosis before he blew up? Because Kanye was already big. He was already brewing and growing into what he was going to become. But after his moms died, he took off. Go back and look at the year his mom died. He took off. Pew. He was already blowing up with all the production he was doing and what he was getting, recognized for finally. But when his moms died, he went from being the little producing sidekick to a megastar. Kanye West. They say he got mental health problems. How you doing, Sierra? Sierra says, can you explain the difference between mental health and demon possession? That's what we've been talking about this whole time, Sierra. See, what this show is about, Sierra, is this show is breaking down the deception of mental health. See, because what we've discovered so far within this show is they've been using the word mental health as a cloak for demon possession. Is demon possession cloaked as mental health? They're calling it mental health. It's not mental health. What is mental health? What is it to have good mental health? To be free from what? Negative spirits. What is it to be free from negative spirits? Eat right. Drink right, meaning you don't drink alcohol, right? Because alcohol is what? Spirits. You don't have any addictions. You don't smoke. You don't have any addictions. That includes sex, all of that stuff. Right? Because those things bring on what? Spirits. See, this is what it is to have good mental health. But they ain't going to tell us this. They're going to give you this little blue pill. See? To have good mental health is to abstain from the wiles of the world. The Bible been telling us that since we was kids. But our fleshly desires kept leading us to where it wanted to lead us. And we followed our flesh. Let's just be honest. But that's what's going to give you good mental health. Stop following your flesh. Get rid of all your addictions, all of that. That's what it is. But if it was that simple, How can we have something like Big Pharma? How could we have a mental health industry? How? How could we have all these people working, making all of this money, working with all of these different people, if these people are not on medication? If these people don't believe that this is who they are and this is their life? You see this? This is deep, man. Because it's an industry. It's an industry. So if people didn't believe in this mental health stuff, it wouldn't even be an industry. It won't be no industry. It won't. Shout out to JD in the building. What up, JD? Peace, bro. He says the treatment is far more lucrative than the cure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Classy says the devil be tempting me with sugar. Laugh out loud. I got to stay away from it. Absolutely. Yes. Hey, Classy. And I'm not saying this, but do you know that that's what's in a lot of alcohol? Sugar. 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 She said yes. She said yes. She knows that. Sierra says sugar is my drug. See? Shout out to Miss Country Girl Queen in the building. Another one of my top lovely lady mods in here today. She says same here. Sugar. Sin says, what's your take on artificial sugar? It's worse than it's worse than regular sugar. It's worse. Artificial sugar is worse. Sugar is a drug. Absolutely it is. That's why you catch a disease called diabetes, because it's a drug. And when you catch diabetes, they give you what? Drugs. Sugar is a drug. That's why you need a drug. When you have that, you need a drug to control the sugar. Keep your sugar down. But if you just change your lifestyle, you won't need the medication. And most people can do that. I know people who have. Zuma says, I still like my drink. Hey, come on, man. It is what it is. It is what it is, bro. Just when you think you're all alone. Sin says, because a lot of people switch to that, DS1. What, artificial sugar? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not even just a lot of people. Think about the industry, Sin. The food industry switched to artificial sugar. That's who started it. It's the industry. Because I remember when we was younger, you know, I remember when sodas came in glass bottles. Right? I'm like the last generation of that. If you're a millennial, we're the last generation of the sodas that came in a bottle. The Pepsi's in the bottle, the Sprites in the bottle, Coca-Cola in a bottle. They actually had real sugar in those sodas. Once they put everything in bottles, I think that's when they started putting artificial sugar. Sin. And don't quote me on that because it might not be a fact, but that's just what I think. Because I remember when sodas start tasting different. And they started tasting different when they put them in bottles. In them plastic bottles, it made Pepsi taste different. It made Coca-Cola taste different. Sprite taste different. Even think about it. Back in the day, if you had a canned soda, it was much more fresh than the canned sodas now. Because even the canned sodas back then, they had real sugar in them. Especially Coca-Cola. Especially, I know that for a fact. Y'all can look that up. Coca-Cola had real sugar, and Pepsi. They put real sugar in it. What up, Brownie? How you doing? Brownie says, I finally broke my sugar habit this year. I know it was difficult. Shout out to you, Brownie. Stress is very bad for you. Very bad. Stress is a gateway. Now, if I can stop smoking, that's the next thing. One at a time, Brownie. Zuma says, I've been toning down though. The liquor to wine pipeline kicked in on my 25th birthday. Shout out to my brother Zuma, man. Yeah, you starting to lighten up a little bit, huh? He said I put the Don Julio away and got me a little wine. That's what's up, bro. Yeah, real cane sugar. Absolutely. Real cane sugar. Brownie says fake sugar started off as pesticides. Wow. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Them bottles are collector's items now. They sure are. They sure are. That's a fact. That is a fact. Zuma says if you still like a Coke, get a Mexican Coke or Jarrito. Yeah, I like Jarritos. And the Mexican Coca-Cola, it do taste like a little bit like the original. A little bit. Because they still got their own taste. It doesn't taste like the old school American Coca-Cola, but it has that fresh taste to it. They switched from cane sugar to corn syrup. Yep. And a bunch of coloring. All of colors. Club says, I remember those times in my previous trip before last year in Nigeria, they were still using glass. Yeah, they still use glass now, Club, in Africa. They still use glass. The sodas still come glass. Now they got the water in bottles, but the sodas and stuff still come in glass. Because I'll be watching the African reels and stuff. Elisino says beer is nasty as hell in the can. Because you used to, you probably used to those 40 bottles, those big 40 glass bottles. That's why. Astro says plastic soda bottles, acid turn the drink into estrogen. We need glass. Brownie says anything real is better than the fake alternative. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's up, Taylor? How you doing? Shout out to Taylor in the building. Yeah, I like Jarritos. But y'all, let's get to this video because y'all know I got a video. Y'all know I got a video. So let's get to this video. and let's get back to the conversation. Shout out to everyone that's in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button. What's up, Kenny Will? Shout out to Kenny Will in the building. Salute. If y'all are in the building, make sure y'all hit the like button, share the show. Shout out to Saudi Tate in the building. What's good, Saudi? Y'all enjoying the show? Hit the like button, share the show. The donation links are going across the screen at Sheep Stay Sleep TV on PayPal and Venmo, at Sheep Stay Sleep TV on PayPal and Venmo. Let's get to it, y'all. Now, y'all know this is my girl right here, Millicent Cedra. This is my girl right here, y'all. Listen to what she has to say. Thank you, Classy. Fair use, YouTube.
We see a man who is being tormented, filled with thousands of demons, causing him to cut himself, telling him, harm yourself, you can never be free. If this man was living in our time today, he would have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. He would have been put on a cocktail of drugs that would have gotten his mind so dull that he would have been put in a group home, just sitting around all day long, staring off into space because his mind is almost to the point of being in a vegetative state, and he would have had no purpose, no calling on his way to hell. Demons are disguising themselves under the name of mental illness. They're saying, look at you Christians. You call yourself a Christian, but you're not a Christian. You're an atheist. And they laugh at us. And they're like, yeah, keep calling it mental health. Keep calling it a disorder. Because while you keep doing that, we get to take over this place. We get to come and keep tormenting soul after soul. But Jesus did not see in the natural. Jesus saw in the supernatural, and Jesus saw a man that he could set free in a second. Don't you love just how instantly God can flip someone's world upside down? Don't you love how you can have just one encounter with a great physician and all of a sudden your life is completely changed? It's time that we stop having an atheistic worldview and we have a supernatural worldview. Demons today are hiding under the name of mental health. In Mark chapter 5, we see a man who is being tormented, filled with thousands of demons, causing him to cut himself, telling him, harm yourself, you can never be free. If this man was living in our time today, he would have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. He would have been put on a cocktail of drugs that would have gotten his mind so dull that he would have been put in a group home, just sitting around all day long, staring off into space because his mind is almost to the point of being in a vegetative state, and he would have had no purpose, no calling on his way to hell. Demons are disguising themselves under the name of mental illness. They're saying, look at you Christians. You call yourself a Christian, but you're not a Christian. You're an atheist. And they laugh at us. And they're like, yeah, keep calling it mental health. Keep calling it a disorder. Because while you keep doing that, we get to take over this place. We get to come and keep tormenting soul after soul. But Jesus did not see in the natural. Jesus saw in the supernatural. And Jesus saw a man that he could set free in a second. Don't you love just how instantly God can flip someone's world upside down? Don't you love how you can have just one encounter with a great physician and all of a sudden your life is completely changed? It's time that we stop having an atheistic worldview and we have a supernatural worldview.
So, shout out to Millicent Cedra. Shout out to her. Because she basically gave us some biblical context on mental health. And I'm putting that in quotations. Because like she said, if this was back in biblical times, they would say that this man was demon possessed. You see? See, today, listen. This is why they say is it's nothing new under the sun. Everything that's going on in our life, the life that we're living, the things that we're seeing, the things that's going on, it's nothing new to the earth. It's only new to the people who's here experiencing it. And, you know, for some people who've lived long enough, they've lived long enough to see things repeat itself. They've lived long enough to see certain trends come back 2, 3, 4, 5 times. They've saw the same thing, but people call it something different over the years. You know, people that done been on this earth 60, 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years. They know that all of this is the same stuff. It's just being called something different. It's just happening in the way of the now. But back then, when they were going through it, it was happening the way it was happening for them. So now it's just called something different. Now, because see, you got to remember, back then there wasn't no medicine for it. It wasn't no meds. They didn't have a bunch of pills and all of that type of stuff for these people who were possessed. See, if you go back and watch those movies, they used to put people in institutions and put the thing on their head and study their brain and stuff and try to study their thoughts and stuff like that. There wasn't no medicine that they could give them and then they just feel better and then they could come out a different person and then they know how to handle situations. No, it wasn't none of that back then. They didn't know. They created all of this stuff. Yes, they were. Absolutely, Terry. I agree. Cynical says towards the end of his life, King Nebuchadnezzar dealt with serious mental health issues. That's a good one, Sin. Zuma says, lobotomy gas the meds. Just give me a perk. Rather a lobotomy. Remix rhetoric, same ish, new toilet. Exactly. That's what it is. And this is why I wanted to do this show today. Because I want us to begin to understand what we seeing out here, what we dealing with. And understand that if you're dealing with mental health, understand what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a demon in your life. You got some demons in your life that you have to address. Don't be ashamed about them, because that's what the demons feed off of. They want you to be ashamed. They want you to get depressed, so more of them could come in. They want you to do this. This is why when you learning about psychology, they talk to you about your environment. What you're around and who you're around. Because everything around you and everybody around you is susceptible to what? Spirits, possession. Demons can possess people, places, and things. You see? So don't be ashamed. It's good that you know now if you didn't know. If you don't know, now you know. That's why. Because you can't rectify what you don't identify. You can't identify that you got a problem. You can't fix the problem. You can't. If you keep running around here thinking ain't nothing wrong, then guess what? Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing wrong. That's how it works. That's how this works, y'all. Zuma says, this ain't life advice because I got a legion. I'm not going to lie. But once I acknowledged them and I sat down with my demons, it made it easier to know them and know how to beat them. Exactly. That's the key. That's the key, Zuma. That's the key, bro. And you are giving us life advice because you faced your demons. That's something that everybody must do in life, bro. You are giving us life advice. Shout out to my brother Zuma. You are giving us life advice, bro. Because in other words, you telling us that we can't run from the inevitable because we can't. We got to face them. Classy says, mental health needs to be addressed, especially in these youth. Hey, Classy, you know what? That's a great point. But, I don't say anything because, people here in these YouTube streets, they're very sensitive. When people start talking about things that they've learned and, oh, now you think you know something and you can't tell me and you can't diagnose me. And, people get on that type of trip. So, I just sit back and watch, Classy, honestly. I just sit back and watch, but there's a lot of demon possession on here. A lot of heavy demon possession. Heavy. Like for real, heavy. But I'm not going to go around and get to doing that. Because that's a soft spot for a lot of people. And I get it. Brownie says the demons run amok on YouTube. See? Hey. That's a fact, though. That's a fact. I ain't gonna lie. I used to be on demon time on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. Like my earlier times on YouTube, man. Sometimes you gotta shake their hand to understand what you're up against. I call it demonic diplomacy. Really, I'm about to backdoor them. Really, you about to backdoor him like Pooh Shiesty? Shout out to my brother Zuma. No, I get what you're saying. It's a level of understanding. I agree, bro. I agree. It's not that you're in agreement with them. What you're saying is you sat down to understand, okay, this is this demon, and what am I actually dealing with when I'm interacting with this demon? How does this demon actually work in my life? What is it actually doing to me? That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying, bro. Because that's how you formulate a strategy. You trying to formulate a strategy. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing, bro. Right. Keeping your enemies close. Right. Nothing wrong with that, bro. That's super smart. That's a war strategy. Honestly, that's a war strategy. Brownie says, my inner light, no matter what, how dim, keeps the demons away. I mean, hey, Brownie, I agree with you to a certain extent. Hey, listen, every time I see you, you smiling, you never on no, I never really saw you on no negativity like that. I mean, I heard you get a little, spicy before, and you threw a little shade or whatever, but I never really saw you just get angry and start. Nah, I never saw you like that before. So what you saying, I can agree with from what I saw here on YouTube so far. Now, you are from Chicago, so I don't know how you may have reacted in the Chicago streets, because the environment may cause for a different type of brownie, So I don't know, but far as what I know on here, I only saw you, you may have got a little spicy a couple of times, but I never saw you really get out of character too much. I never saw you really get out of character like that. OG says, I never shake their hand, but I look them in their face. Yes, absolutely, Sin. That's why he's one of my favorite rappers. DMX. Always been one of my favorite rappers from the first time I heard him. From the first time I heard DMX, he was my favorite rapper. The first time I heard him, he was my favorite rapper. The first song I ever heard from DMX was Get At Me Dog. That's the soon as I heard him, soon as I heard that beat, where my dog's at, I said, he's one of my favorite rappers. Right from that day. From that day. Spirit. His spirit. It's his spirit. Zuma said, because I'm lying like a hoe. Brownie says, nah, that's not in me. But being shady and talking ish is well within me. Yeah, that's all I saw from you, though. That's all I saw. Was you being a little shady. Yeah, a little Cajun spice. Yeah. That's all. That's all. Yes, he was. He was authentic. He was pure. He was pure about his demons, man. He was pure, man. He was pure. X was who he was. Yep. Love X. Sin says, I highly respect people who are honest about what they are about. Me too. And that's why I got so much love and respect for y'all. Because y'all respect the real. And that's what my channel has always been about. From day one. From everything that I've done here on YouTube, that's what it's always been about. Me being me. And anybody that knows me, that met me from YouTube and met me off of YouTube, y'all know I'm the same person. Y'all know I'm the same person. Y'all know I could turn up. I'm the same person in real life. Anybody that know me, they know this. Whether they know me from YouTube or know me from real life outside of YouTube, they know that this is who I am. That when I'm on this mic, I'm not pretending. This is how I talk in my regular day interactions. Same way. These types of conversations I have, or I can have at the local gas station with the cashier. You see? And I thank God that I'm this way. I thank God I'm this way. I think that's why I'm able to understand certain things and able to put certain things together a certain way. Sin says I'm rather reserved in person. I'm reserved too. OG says I could tell it's all in the voice. Salute. Salute. That's an OG right there. Said I could tell it's all in the voice. But see, this is why I like to have these types of conversations, because we need to start having these types of conversations with our children as our children grow up. We have to start dispelling these myths around things in life so our children don't have to go through those same cycles of misunderstanding and disbelief. This is how you stop them from going down a certain route. You got to reroute them. You got to reroute them. We can't keep letting every generation believe the same nonsense. That's the purpose of being an elder. That's the purpose of being an OG. That's the purpose of being a big bro. That's the purpose of being unk. That's the purpose of it. Not so you don't do what I do, because you might do some of the things I may do. But it's so you don't look at life the way that we looked at life. Because life gonna be different from y'all. For y'all, life gonna be different. Y'all see how these new cities look? Imagine how they gonna look when our kids are grown. If you grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, your city don't look the same. I don't care where you at. You a millennial like me? I'm from New York. New York don't look the same. The streets done got smaller. The streets are smaller in New York. Streets don't look the same. I don't know the new New York. I don't know that New York. I grew up, I saw crack buildings. I saw graffiti on the train, outside the train. Like when the train went past, it was graffiti on the doors, on the whole train. Outside looked different than me now. So we can't keep telling the youth the same nonsense. We got to dispel this stuff. This stuff ain't mental health, bro. This is demon possession. These people ain't get rich off hard work. They sold their soul. Don't deal with ancestral worship. That's demon worship, bro. Take that off your neck. Take them beads off your neck. You don't know if somebody did an incantation and it's a spirit in them beads. Take that off. We got to reroute them. Reroute them away from the devil. Because that's what all this stuff leads them to. It leads them on the fast track to hell. That's what our job as being OGs and olders and elders, and that's our job. Because that's what the elders was trying to teach us. Boy, go to church. Boy, I hope you pray every night. Pull your pants up. Take the sweatpants off. They was trying to teach us something. So we could go another way, so we could look at life different. Did we listen? Not a lot of us. I know I didn't listen. Me and my friends ain't listen. We was in church lusted. We didn't go to church to learn. We didn't go to church to hear no sermon. We in church like this. Oh, she bad. Oh, who that? Oh, you see her? That's what we was doing in church when we was young. I used to go to church with my homeboy. We in church lusting, hollering at girls, getting phone numbers in church. This is what we was doing. We wasn't going to hear no word. We wasn't trying to hear nothing about no lust. Ooh, lust, what's that? Oh, that's something they made up. That's the stuff we used to say. You think we saying that now? No. You know why? Because life gave us the belt. You know how the YNs like to say, yeah, we giving out the belt. Life gave us the belt. Going in church, playing, not listening. Oh, yeah, we got the belt. Woo! Got the belt. They gave us the belt. Yeah. Yeah. So that's our job, to reroute them. Yo, bro, y'all on a fast track to hell, bro. Do you know that? Like, we just got to be honest with them. And let's be honest with them, bros. We trying to stay out of hell ourselves. See, that's the type of conversation we need to be having with the young boys. See, y'all think these YNs don't be into this type of stuff. They are. They are. In these facilities, these YNs reading the Bible. They got Bibles in their rooms. Yeah, you just got to start the conversation. I know because I talk to them every night. I used to talk to them every night. That's how I know. That's how I know. At night, we have real life conversations. I told y'all they treat us like COs. Yeah, we be talking about all types of stuff at night. Real life stuff, though. Not who a stepper. We don't. They don't have that conversation with DS1. They don't have that conversation with me. We don't talk about that. They talk like that with other people. They don't talk like that with me. Because they know I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But that's what we have to do. We have to start normalizing these types of conversations. It has to be normal. You know why? Because it's going on out here in the world. This is why things be shocking people, because people not conversing about it. See, if you having conversations about certain stuff, that's how you know what's going on out here. You don't know because you ain't talking to nobody. You ain't conversing. You're not talking about what matter. That's why you're not learning about what's going on. So you're not able to give nobody no advice. You're not able to redirect anybody because you don't know what's going on. You can't even relate. You see? But see, when you could go to them and break down to them why they call themselves demons, and then go into the whole mental health thing with them. Because these YNs that's in these facilities are diagnosed with mental health issues. You see how it's connected? You see how it's connected? So you calling yourself a demon because you don't even know that you demon possessed, but you possessed with something that they calling a mental illness that they giving you medicine for twice a day. But that medicine ain't helping you because you're possessed. You're possessed with the demon schizophrenia. You're possessed with the demon ADHD, autism, demons. These are demons. These are demons. These are demons. That's what they are. And you should see, it's sad, y'all, because these kids line up to get these meds, man. They line up to get them. Some of these kids can't sleep if they don't get their meds. So the demon never goes away. The demon has a permanent house. He has a home now. Not even a house. Now he has a home. Because you don't even realize that it's a demon. So you taking all this medicine, dumping all these years and years of medicine, and a demon just sitting there chilling. Because the medicine does the placebo effect to the demon possession. It doesn't do nothing. Because you ain't attacking the demon. You're taking medicine to attack the behavior that the demon is causing you to do. That's what the medicine is for. The demon never goes nowhere. So you just have anxiety forever. You just stressed forever. You have depression forever. No, until you address the demon. Directly. Not with telling yourself it's just mental health. What did Millicent Cedra say in the video? Demons are hiding under the label of what? Mental health. See? So you just keep telling yourself, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. And you never get help for that directly. You never get help for it directly. Because why wouldn't the devil want a bunch of, especially a bunch of children, to be demon possessed? Why wouldn't he want them demon possessed? Why wouldn't he want 2-3 generations of children to believe that they just got mental health problems and they all demon possessed? Why wouldn't he? Why? Because then all of them will be on what? Demon time. They'll work for the devil. See? See? That's why Big Pharma is not going to tell us that it's demon possession. Because this is how they're recruiting soldiers for the devil. These kids that's on demon time that work for the devil, they have what? Mental health issues. Mental health issues. See this? You see this? The school shooters, mental health issues. Mental health issues. That's what they call it. It's called demon possession. Because only a demon will tell you to go get an AR-15 rifle and go shoot and just start running around the mall shooting innocent people. That's a demon. That's a demon. That's somebody who's possessed by a spirit. Don't a normal mind, a normal brain operate that way. A normal brain does not formulate thoughts that way. Only a brain that has been compromised, possessed, will formulate them type of evil, demonic thoughts. See, in psychology, they call it schizophrenia. It's called demon possession, man. That's what it's called. That's what it's called. That's what it's called. That's what it's called. Zuma says, third generation reformed demon. See? There you go. There you go. Praise God for that. Thank God for that. The reformed demon. And you know what's interesting, Zuma? You know what, bro? Those are the people now that God is using to wake people up. He using people like you, bro, as the testimony. He's using people like you and your testimony to make people believe that he's real. I hope y'all paying attention. I forgot that brother name. He got like an African name, but his whole podcast called We Need to Talk. His whole podcast is about spiritual stuff, demons, demon possession, people who was in the voodoo, people that basically got a revelation from Christ, or God came to them personally and changed their life. And he be having all types of people on his platform. All types of people. I forgot the brother name, but I believe the name of the podcast is called We Need to Talk. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You can't attack the problem till you know what it is. Facts, Saudi Tate. Facts, bro. That's a fact. Brownie says, I got ADHD, but it's my sparkle. I never seen it as a mental health disorder. I don't think you have ADHD, Brownie. I don't think you have ADHD. Honestly, I believe a lot of people have been misdiagnosed, man. I really believe that. I really believe that. I do. I really do. I do. And I'm not trying to misrepresent nobody or try to downplay what people are dealing with. But I'm just saying, based off my analysis, and again, I don't, I can't diagnose nobody because I don't have the credentials to, but just off what I see, a lot of people don't have ADHD. Narcan recipients. I just don't think that, And I say that too, is because I have firsthand experience with a child who was on the spectrum, who they said had ADHD and all of that stuff. And my experience with him taught me a lot about mental health and all of that stuff, especially dealing with children. That's how I learned how to deal with them too. How to communicate with them, all of that. How to have a level of patience, all of that stuff. You see? And what I noticed is when I took, being that I had time to be with him and to help him grow, over time, he didn't need what people thought he did. You know, he developed into a regular kid, or what people would call a regular kid. He socialized well into school, everything. So again, a lot of times, man, we got to be careful how we label ourselves too, because sometimes, especially in the education world and in the medical world, because they're connected, right? Certain labels could keep your children stuck on certain levels, and they could be well past that level. But since they have that label on them, it becomes a stigma. It becomes a stigma. And it keeps some kids stuck at a certain level when they're really past that level. Thank you, Sugar. I appreciate it. Some of us just need a hug and encouragement. Facts. 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 Some of us need to know that we have people there that care about us and that's rooting us on to win. Man, just knowing that, man, will help you develop into a better person. Just knowing that. Do you think anxiety disorders are permanent? No, they're not. I don't believe it. I believe we could be delivered from any demon possession, aka mental health issue. I had to teach myself emotionally. You had to cheer yourself on. Yeah. And I know that took time. I know that wasn't something you just learned to do automatically. Positive reinforcement. Yes. Yes. So shout out to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. I appreciate talking to y'all this afternoon about this topic. Y'all enjoyed the show. Before we get up out of here, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button, hit the share button. Also, if you enjoyed the show, you would like to financially support, hit me up on PayPal or Venmo at Sheep Stay Sleep TV. That's at Sheep Stay Sleep TV on PayPal or Venmo. Thank y'all so much for coming through. Shout out to all the lovely lady mods for pulling up and holding it down. Shout out to my top lovely lady mods for coming through and making sure everything goes swell as usual. Thank y'all so much. Zuma says, my girl is my biggest cheerleader. And you need that, bro. You need that. You need that. You need that, man. A lot of us do. A lot of us do. Trust me. That's part of especially that's part of being a human. You know, encouragement, people cheering you on, that stuff is real, man. It helps with development. Like Sugar said, positive reinforcement. It makes you feel good about yourself, and it makes you want to continue to feel good about yourself, which then will push you to do things that will make you feel good about yourself. Because you're surrounded by people that cheer you on, that want to see you win genuinely. So that's going to push you to do things that's going to produce that same result. So we all need that, man. Trust me, we all do. Brownie says it's been a year and a half since my last anxiety attack. Shout out to you, Brownie. Shout out to you. You doing your thing. You done had a year and a half without an anxiety attack. You done quit your sugar crave. You doing your thing, Brownie. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Thank you, Classy Creole. I appreciate you. Yep. Having a strong support system is underrated. Sure is. Sierra says, nothing is permanent. I had seizures for 21 years and I healed my mind, and now I've been clear for 2 years now. Wow. Shout out to Sierra, man. God is good. See? Look at God. She had seizures for 21 years. She got those demons out of life. Now she's been clear for 2 years now. Shout out to Sierra. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. You as well, Brownie. Shout out to Nate Dogg in the building. You're going to have to catch the playback. Shout out to Miss L'Oreal on the pull-up. Hey, Miss L'Oreal. Yeah, you're going to have to catch the replay. You're going to have to catch the replay. Shout out to everyone for pulling up. Thanks, OG. I appreciate it. Shout out to Miss Country Girl Queena. Shout out to all the top lovely lady mods for coming through today. Shout out to everyone for pulling up to today's show. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, don't forget, like and share the show. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to leave a comment. If you enjoyed the show again, show some support on the PayPal or the Venmo. That's at Sheep Stay Sleep TV. That's at Sheep Stay Sleep TV on PayPal and Venmo. Shout out to y'all. If y'all just coming in, go and catch the replay. All right. DS1 Ross, Sheep Stay Sleep TV, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.